Another one that is very common is, a lack of personal belief, which is just having some self-doubt or not as much confidence in yourself. And I believe that's a mindset thing. That's a mindset obstacle more than a real obstacle. But of course, for each person that feels very real. And so we definitely talk and work on what it would look like for them to feel like they deserve this thing that they want, that they are worthy of it. And then to just own that it's there for them, it's available to them, and that, to push through when they feel like there's mental roadblocks and, the whole self-doubt, in my opinion, is just stories about ourselves that we have made up, or maybe others have made it up, and we believe them. And so then we backtrack a little bit and we look at what stories are stopping them and why don't they believe. I would say those are some of the most common obstacles that just across the board run for everybody. And another one is that people feel like, I really want this, but I just don't have the time. And that, again, is a story that you're believing. I just don't have the time. Well, I always say to people, well, nobody has the time. You don't just get the time out of thin air. You have to make the time. And so sometimes that means stepping back and changing some of your priorities or some of what your day looks like and your week looks like and your month looks like. But there is time, because around the world, 24/7, every single person from every level of life, from the lowest to the very, very highest, has the same 24 hours in a day. It's just how we use them. But those are most of the common obstacles, I think.
And I can imagine that another sort of thought that creeps up for some people is, oh, well, if I take this time for myself, it's seen as being selfish. How do you handle that one?
Yeah, that's difficult. I actually was just doing a presentation and I talked about that. When it comes to having goals, a lot of times when we start to work on our goals, it's going to feel like we're making sacrifices, and we're sacrificing what's comfortable for uncomfortable and what's easy for what's difficult or challenging. And then what I was talking about is that one of the biggest sacrifices we make is that we feel like we might be letting other people down or disappointing them because they're used to us being more involved or active in what they're working on. And so when we say, you know what, I need some more time to myself to work on these goals, we're inevitably disappointing somebody, or they're either going to be bold and tell us they're disappointing us, or we're just going to assume it, and that's another story that we're believing. And it's very difficult. And so with that, it's baby steps, because it's very difficult to just totally tell your family or whatever the situation is that you might be thinking in your head right now, Donna, about, where you feel like, if I do this for me, then somebody else is going to be lacking. And that's not really true. It's just a changing of your perspective that it's the whole airplane analogy, right? You put your mask on first so you can be more and give more to everybody else. And so when you can reframe it and have a different perspective, and suddenly it doesn't feel like you're being selfish, it feels like I have to give to me so that I have even more to give to you. And I really feel like it does come across that way, and it's a win-win for everybody. But at the beginning, that's a little scary because you don't know that it's going to turn out that way, but it always does.
Yeah, I agree. So it sounds like you work more often with women than men. Is that true?
Yes. I don't know why, but it just came that way. So I'm not opposed to men, and but a lot of times, they're maybe not as conscientious of wanting to make the whole picture of their life. A lot of it is it just is already fine and good the way it is. And I think women are the ones who want to get in there and tweak things and make them better. And, why settle for, good enough when you can have better than that, or great even. And so for some reason, women are the ones that call me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So Helen, I know you have a couple of courses you teach, and we'll get to that in just a moment. What are a couple of simple habits or hacks, if you want to call them that you can share with our listeners that just get them started on the path to designing their own lifestyle?
Okay, so habits or hacks. The first thing that comes to mind, just without thinking too much about it, is to make a commitment and to decide what you want to work on. And I say that in regards to not dabbling. I think a habit that is not healthy as far as getting what you want in the world and for yourself is when we dabble. Like, I'll do this a little bit here and I'll do that a little bit, but you don't actually get a real result You're actually just kind of, putting your toe in the water, and then you go to a different side of the pool, and you won't get results. You won't have an outcome if you're dabbling. But if you can really decide and commit on one real priority goal as a front runner, that really gets you in the game. So a good habit is to decide and commit over dabbling. I know that one kind of maybe seems like a no-brainer and obvious, but it's not. People say, and it's again, like we talked about, the wish and the hope is I say I want this thing, but then when I look at my life and my calendar and where all my time goes, it's completely out of alignment with what I'm saying. So if you're saying it's a priority that I'm healthy, but you look at your calendar and you haven't worked out in 2 weeks and you're kind of a gluttony when it comes to food, then see, you're talking about what you want. And so you're dabbling in being healthy by talking about it, but you haven't really decided and made a commitment. That's one habit. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, give us one more.
Okay. One of my very favorite habits, and I've been doing this consistently for 2 months, is a morning routine. And that is very different for everybody. And it could be anything from 5 minutes to, a couple hours, depending on what your morning routine would include. So it can include a trip to the gym or a workout. It can include a certain meal or a certain practice that you do in the morning. But a morning routine just really sets your day up so it's very intentional. And when you're intentional, you're mindful, you're present, you're aware of what's happening. So you're controlling your day instead of your day controlling you. It's just a real positive way to start every day and to have a high energy vibe. For me, I do journaling in the morning as my future self, like who I'm going to be in the future. I write from that perspective. I meditate, I pray, I stretch, I do some floor routines and some workouts. I have a warm glass of water with some fresh lemon juice. I smile. I have smile therapy, gratitude. There's so many parts of a morning routine. It's whatever you like, but it just, again, it's personal for everybody. You can customize it, but start your day intentional and with a really good attitude and see the day going the way you want it to from the beginning, because those first 5 minutes of your day dictate the whole feeling and the whole vibe of your day. And so you really have to be intentional about what you let into your space and your energy as you're waking up in the morning.
Well, cool. That's great. So if somebody wanted to start their day with you, how could they do that? If they go to aimforideal.com, what are they going to find there, Helen?
At aimforideal.com, they'll find out a little bit more, pretty much like what we're talking about here. What is lifestyle design coaching? Who would use it? Why would you use it? Some of the steps that you can just look at on the website are about, setting a goal and having an action plan and having accountability and all those things that kind of really get you in the game. And of course, there is an opt-in form to belong to my tribe and my community. Right away, they'll get information on a free workshop that I do regularly, pretty much every month, sometimes multiple times a month. That's Take Charge of Your Life Now currently. And I'm always upgrading and changing, adding more value, but they'll definitely get a lot. I like to say that my tribe and my community are like friends over to a house party, and I don't just send emails to like promote stuff. I really want to be their eyes and their ears to what they might care about. And so I have a lot of resources that I'll just send and keep in touch with people. So that's where I would start if you want to get in touch and just be in my space and let me be in yours.
Well, thank you. And I know for myself, I've recently done your course called Make Yourself a Priority, which I think sort of underlies a lot of what you're talking about in terms of lifestyle design. And I found it very helpful. And, I recognize myself when you're talking about dabblers, although I don't frame it that way, but it probably is what it turns out to be. But I call it multi-focus, but it might end up with the same.
That's a positive spin on it.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that time spent with you, Helen Raptoplous, is definitely worth it. And just to be in your presence and your high energy, your joy, your gratitude, and the goodness you bring to life and to everybody you meet, I'm grateful for that. So thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you for all those kind words about the Make Yourself a Priority. It's really, really important to, study and focus on your health, your wellness, your fitness, making yourself a priority. Just like we talked about, it's the whole put your mask on first, because the better you are to yourself, the more you have to give to others. And I just so appreciate all your compliments and your kindness. Thank you, Donna.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. And I want to thank our listeners as well, and my producer, Joe. So we've got lots of shows in the archives at sobradionetwork.com. You can also check out gamechangerthinking.com for some other things going on in my world and for legacy strategy coaching. And I do want to remind you as well that the life you live is the legacy you leave. Thank you, and bye-bye.